Welcome back to the channel, guys. So right here we have the Kia EV6 GT, the Big Daddy, the one with 430 kilowatts, 740 Newton meters of torque, the one that does 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds. So this was, well, currently is Kia's fastest car and is an absolute competitor to a lot of the other top-end EVs that's, I guess, in the market at the moment. So 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds with 740 Newton meters of torque. That's a really big amount. To get 430 kilowatts and 740 Newton meters torque, you're essentially talking about usually twin turbo or forced induction V8, V10, V12 territory. So this car here, Moonscape Grey, as you can see, it's actually a matte color. It was raining here a couple of minutes ago, so I may look, I guess, slightly sprinkled on. And yeah, it's looks like it's dried out most of the car over here. And then you've got your fluoro green brakes. You've got 21-inch wheels in this variant here. The EV6 GT that we had late last year, that essentially had 20-inch rims. But with this one in the GT model, you do have the electronically controlled suspension. So hopefully, even though it's 1 inch bigger rim, you do actually have the ability to feel a lot more comfort within the car because it's got its computers working its magic. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes further in the review, but essentially this is 1 inch bigger. You've also got supposedly Michelin Pilot 4S, so really good performance tyre for you guys to race around the track or race around the roads as you need. So other key differences, this car has matrix LED lights at the front that come along over here, and then you've also got the 21-inch rims, as I said, and then the really nice bucket seats. So I'll do an overlay with the video for the bucket seats, but yeah, it is something that is really good looking. The other really big noticeable difference is the GT button on the steering wheel, and you do lose out on some of the other car settings as with the rear-wheel drive or the GT lines. So there's no, I guess, comfort, sport and whatever as you scroll through the different modes on the steering wheel. This one just has the GT mode, so it's in your normal drive mode, which you can configure to have comfort and normal settings, and then you've just got a GT button, which essentially turns off the traction control. So off you go. So who knows, we may give it a go, we may not, I don't know. It's wet weather. Ideally I want to also try give a 0 to 100 sprint, but pending Sydney weather, unfortunately it's wet weather at the moment. But yeah, there is your quick summary. Key things, as I said, it's got bigger wheels, green brakes, which help you stop faster, helps you stand out. Got really good bucket seats, matrix LED headlights, and yeah, it's got the good 0 to 100. Any questions, drop them in the comments below. If you guys have one, let me know as well. Anything you like or don't like in particular. I found that so far this matte paint actually seems to be drying off, and I don't know if there's any paint protection on it, but the matte seems to have dried a lot of the car. It seems to have just kind of slipped off. So you can see over here, this section here is still a bit wet, but then from this section to probably down here seems already a bit dry, and hopefully you can see it over here as well. So yeah, let's get on to the other parts of the review. We'll go for a drive and we'll talk through some of the next bits. Alright, so we'll walk around the car in a minute, but let's kind of open everything up and have a look. So normal hood latch is just inside the car on the side. Excuse that beep, that's just when the key's not in the car. And then there's a latch just here on the right, and we open it up and then you see EV. Lift that up, and that is pretty much all you have. So I presume batteries under here, and yeah, there's not much more you can store realistically. Like the tripod that I'm using here, I don't think you'd even fit over here. There's really not much. You can't even fit a shopping bag over here at all. Like definitely no shopping bags. You could put a laptop, but I mean, what's the use of that? I mean, yeah, there really is not much space here at all. I don't know really what the purpose is, besides the only thing I can think of really is putting potentially charging cables in here. That's probably the best bit, but I know that they've got a section in the back for that as well. You could line up a couple of cans of drink realistically. I think you could fit maybe one small bottle over here, but yeah, in all seriousness, there's not much space here at all. So yeah, that is essentially the front. Let's take a look at the inside. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how easy or hard it is to get in with these bucket seats. Now, this is opening the door the widest possible. You can see that the bolsters stick up over here. I'd say that much, I don't know, if I had to take a guesstimate, maybe about 6-7 centimeters over here. And then you'll see actually two latches over here. So this latch over here is to go back and forth. And then this latch here is to bring the seat further up or further down. And then you've got a bar over there to pull to go back and forth. So because this is the manual version, there is no automatic or electronic recline or easy entry mode or anything like that. So I'll get in so you guys can actually see. So to slide in like that, backside over first so you don't ruin these beautiful bucket seats. And that's essentially my driving position. Maybe I'll put this a bit too far back, but essentially like that. Now the purpose of bucket seats really is to help support your back and your shoulders, especially if you are on the racetrack. And so these bits here are the shoulder pads for my shoulders up here, and they seem to protect me pretty well. Now you have to imagine, if you're in a tight car park spot though, that's going to be a bit difficult. So if I close the door a little bit like this, the first latch for the door is about here. So there's a lot more limited space here, but I'll open it all the way just so you guys can see. With all the space in the world, it does get a little difficult. Oh, just hit my shoulder. So you can see there, because it is a static seat, it does get a little bit harder to get in and out of the car. So for the rest of the interior in the front, it's pretty much the same as what I've covered off previously in the EV6 rear-wheel drive GT. Besides these nice seats that you see over here, the steering wheel over here essentially has that green GT button, as I was saying earlier on. And then everything else inside is the same, with exception that this car has a sunroof, which I'll cover off in a moment. So that is essentially the whole front. Everything else is pretty much the same. So onto the rear. No transmission tunnel, lots and lots of space, which is fantastic. I feel like because these are bucket seats, the driver would traditionally have their back straighter in order to have the bucket seat support them better. And so what that means is you would normally have more space here than in probably the other variants. So you can see over here that I've got plenty of leg space that I can stretch forward with no issues at all. So it's definitely a big plus in terms of legroom space. Headspace, I've got probably 1.5 fists. Yeah, 1.5. So a fair amount of space there, and I don't feel like I'm going to feel too cramped here. So yeah, seat wise also, these feel like Alcantara suede, not too sure, fake vegan leather potentially. But it feels like the Alcantara suede type material for most of the backside bit, and then probably the fake leather type around over here. And then inside on each side, you do have on the outer seats, you've got two levels of heated seats. Nothing in the middle, and yeah, that's essentially second row. Oh, and I forgot to mention, middle folds down, you've got 2 cup trays there, and you can push that middle bit away if you have a bigger bottle or bigger things to store. And the other great thing about this car in particular is down the bottom over here, you can actually see this lever down here, and this lever essentially is to actually pull this this seat or to recline it forward backwards, and also to open the pass-through to get through to the boot. Alright, so the boot you guys are quite familiar with. You've got your pull-out parcel tray over here that's retractable. You've got the tyre mobility kit over there. You've got, well, this is my Bunnings umbrella. You've got tie-down points on the side, on each side, that you could, I guess, tie things in across each end. You've got your manual release cable for the charging point. Then underneath over here, you've got a couple of various cables and the V2L stuff. So no spare tyre, and yeah, that essentially covers the boot space. If you guys want to see how practical this car is in terms of everyday use and how many shopping bags and everything you can fit, refer to the rear-wheel drive GT line that I filmed in December. I've pretty much put all the shopping bags through so you guys know exactly how much space you have in there. And this here itself, looks like you can take that down and you can actually fit it inside down the bottom across over here if you don't want to use this tray. And here is the walk around of the car. So we are driving on Parramatta Road, one of the worst roads in Metro Sydney you could have, followed by Pennant Hills Road, of course, and I'm sure there's a couple of others. But yeah, let's see how bumpy this ride is. So I haven't looked at the suspension settings actually, or if there are any vehicle settings. Let's see. So currently in this drive mode, and I don't know if you can see it from this side camera, motor is on Sport Plus, steering is on Sport Plus, suspension is on Sport Plus, ELSD is on Sport Plus, ESC is on normal. So essentially we're on the stiffest settings, I believe, if I can hit that. Yep. So Sport is for optimized for agile driving and Sport Plus is for dynamic driving. So essentially this looks like it's all on the stiffest and sportiest settings as you would in a GT car or in a race car as we call it. And so I'll stay silent. I'm just going to drive for a couple of minutes, fast forward the video if you guys would like, but this is essentially Parramatta Road, the bumpiest in the Kia EV6 GT. Now I don't know if that felt like a long time or not, or if that was a couple of minutes. It felt like a couple of minutes. It was very, very, very shaky. And that was on the stiffest settings. So quickly, whilst we're at the lights, drive mode, my drive mode, I am going to change. So this is currently in motor on sport. Now let's just go. Let's go. Alright, everything is now on normal mode, and we'll just continue driving down Parramatta Road and we'll see how that goes. So whilst I changed everything, the acceleration definitely does feel like there's a big difference. You step on it, it's not as responsive compared to being in Sport Plus. I will leave it in Sport Plus for the time being for the motor, steering, suspension, all of that is on normal, and there is only Eco available in the motor side of things. So normal suspension does seem to absorb it better. It seems to be quite noticeable. I'm going to flick over to Sport Plus right now from normal. And it's definitely quite noticeable between Sport Plus and normal in terms of the suspension. In terms of motor, we'll try that, I guess, later this week. But initial view is, yes, it is quite noticeable difference there too in terms of the responsiveness. So it's good to know. So guys, that's Parramatta Road for you between normal and Sport Plus. Hopefully you could hear the road noise and how bad it was. It's not particular to this car at all. So it's nothing to do with this car being a bad build or anything like that. Parramatta Road is knowingly a horrible road in Sydney for people to drive on. And so I just wanted to make sure, you know, you guys are aware that it is something that you'd have to put up with if it's this car that you wanted to own, and know that you actually do have the option to set it on the normal mode, which is I guess more comfortable than the Sport Plus mode. But because race car, I am going to drive it in Sport Plus mode and keep it all on the sportiest and the stiffest settings and see how I feel at the end of the day, because you are essentially paying 6 figures for this car, and why would you not want to drive everything in sports mode if that's what you're buying? So I have just updated all the settings to sports mode. Actually, I just noticed that there is one setting that I actually should change. So in the vehicle settings, in the drive mode, for ESC, you should leave it on normal and not sport, because in sport mode it says here it does allow it to oversteer. Oversteer meaning allowing your back to kick out a bit or slide a bit. When you're on the racetrack, that's fantastic. When you're cruising around the streets, it's not something you definitely want. So I'll leave that back on normal. So essentially the mode that we're currently in is everything is in sport, with exception to the ESC. And so that is Parramatta Road. I will finish up Parramatta Road's section of the video now. It is crazy bumpy. That is the summary. Between sport and normal modes, can you feel the difference? Absolutely. How am I going to drive it? Well, to compare to the Tesla, I'm just going to continue driving in sports mode, because that's actually how I permanently drive in the Tesla anyway. I've never used comfort mode, any of it. I've also never tried chill mode in the Tesla, so perhaps something to plan for in a future video. So there you have it. We'll skip on to the next part of the video. Alright, so V2L. I've currently got a adapter plugged into the port at the back. You can see it's currently off. There's no lights. This isn't on. So foot on the brake, push the start button over here. What you do need to double check is in your EV settings, utility mode currently off. So tap that switch to on and you'll see that there's a green light now. And over here, this is what we've got. I'll just let the camera focus. Okay, so it's a 60 watt adapter, currently 61, 62 watts. And based on this charge, you can see that, how long is it? 55 minutes until fully charged. So just like EVs, charging accessories in the car. Currently about 34 point something. Oh, turn that back on. So about 50 odd minutes to fully charge this one here. And there you have it. That's the V2L. So you put whatever accessories you need in the back down there, or onto the side of the car. Make sure you turn utility vehicle on, and then you should be good to go. G'day guys, the weather's finally cleared up. So we are out here at BP in Kellyville in Sydney's northwest, because weather's cleared up. I wanted to give the 0 to 100 go in the EV6 GT, and we are currently on 65% state of charge, and look what message has come up on the screen. So as you can see over here, supposedly maximum power output can only be used if battery charge is over 70% after starting vehicle. So we are here to see if we can charge up a couple of percent and see how we go. Now in terms of usage, so where is it? After recharging, so when I got the car it was at 100%, so we spent roughly 5.5 hours in the car today, over the week. We've done so far just about 130 kilometers, and average usage of 21.3 kilowatt hours per 100 k's. So I think the Model Y performance has been roughly 180 or thereabouts. Sorry, not 180, 18 point something kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So this is definitely a lot thirstier. So you can see at 65%, 230 k's left. Now we haven't been giving it a hard go in terms of any acceleration or anything. That use is pretty much using air conditioning and driving in the rain. So that's pretty much it, and let's charge up and we'll see how we go. Alright, we've just had to switch over to this point number 2. Cable obviously wasn't long enough for the other side, so let's wait and see. So supposedly both sides said 65 kilowatts when I started, so now we've plugged this one in. It's saying that that side is only 25%, and supposedly 66 kilowatts that we're getting here. Let's have a look in the car. So here you go. Remaining time 38 minutes, 65% to 100, and 11 minutes to get to 80%. So yeah, there it is at the moment. Charging at 66 kilowatts at this charger, which it did say 66 kilowatts you could use, and 11 minutes to 80. So we'll only be spending a couple of minutes here. Not too long at all. And in terms of what you can do when you're here, let's have a look. So again, same thing, maximum power only if you're at 70%, and at the moment 66% state of charge. So 10 minutes, we'll be here less than 10 minutes. And there you go. So for the ones that haven't used one of these BP charging stations out here, BP Pulse, I'll put a link up with the video at the top. I've done a test in my Tesla Model Y Performance a while back, so give that a watch to see what you guys need to do to get it all started. But essentially the short version is set it up in the app, download the BP Pulse app, add your credit card details, or can use PayPal or Apple Pay as well for the iPhone users. And then it's as simple as plugging it in and then just following through with the prompts, and then off you go. Charging about 73%. It was 74, it's dropped down to 73. I've got the aircon blasting. About 252 Ks in terms of what we can drive till empty. And yeah, that was pretty easy. Now, if you guys want to have a look at the notifications that you get and the cost that it costed me just for that couple of minutes, I'll put a overlay of all of the notifications and stuff. If you guys want to check out this site, BP Kellyville, and what it's like to set up your own account to get charged, I'll put a link to the video that I've done here before with my Tesla Model Y. And so we are now also able to optimize battery temperature for maximum output, so we should be good to go for the 0 to 100 shortly. Alright, so we have pre-conditioned the car. It does say maximum output. So let's head to the highway and give a go in the 0 to 100. What I also want to test is how are we going with Speedo Accuracy. You guys may have seen that I have tested the EV6 rear-wheel drive GT-Line, and it was there was quite a bit of variance. So let's have a look at this car. So yeah, let's head off and see how we go. Now at the moment, let's hit 40 Ks and see. So the car at 40 Ks, I've got cruise control on at the moment, and it's reporting about, here on the right camera, about 36 point something kilometers. Yep, so at 40 Ks it's 36.6, 36.7 kilometers at 40 kilometers an hour. So it hovers thereabouts. So at 40 Ks you're about 3 point something kilometers out. And we're going through construction zones at the moment, so really slow, but it does seem like even at this speed, I've noticed that the Speedo did even go up to 41, so it doesn't really hold the speed too well from this initial view. But yeah, 36 kilometers is where it's at, thereabouts, if we're doing 40 Ks an hour. Alright, so roadwork's just about to end. We should be able to do up to 60 Ks. Just for safety, we're just going to do about 50 Ks at the moment because there's traffic lights ahead. Now at 50 kilometers per hour, it is 46.2 thereabouts, so 46.2. Now we're up it to 60 Ks an hour. Hopefully we can make it through these lights. Just made it through in time. And we've got to hit stop We've hit traffic, so we'll have to see in a moment at 60 k's an hour what that equates to. And here you guys go. There's a nice EQE 350 EV in front of us. So I've done 40 k's, we've done 50 k's. This is now our 70 zone. Let's try and hit 60 k's first, and we'll see what that looks like. Then we'll up it to 70, and we'll continue to go and see what we get. So 58, 59. Nearly there. Alright, 60 k's an hour. We seem to be going smooth at 60, and that is reporting at about 57 kilometers per hour, 56 point something, 57 at 60 k's an hour. And next we will have to test 70 k's. So at 60 k's it's 56 point something, just about 57. Sometimes touches on 57. Okay, so 70 k's an hour, let's have a look.
72 seconds.
Alright, let's try hit 70. Alright, 70 k's an hour it is. Are we going to make it? 65.6, 65.7 at 70 k's an hour. So that's essentially 40, 50, 60, 70. We'll head onto the highway, we'll do 80 and we'll go all the way through to 100, and we will see how we go. Alright, so at 80 kilometers an hour, we are reporting about 75.5, 75.6 at 80 k's an hour. Yep, 75.6, 76 at 80 k's an hour. We will now up it to the next one. So at 90 k's, we are doing 86, thereabouts. Flashes between 85, 86 at 90 k's. Then at 100 k's an hour. So at 100 kilometers an hour, we are doing 95 point something, 96. So 95 point something, 96 at 100 k's an hour. So there you have it. Okay, we are about to try a new 0 to 100 drag session in this car. In the vehicle settings, we have checked, so drive modes, we are currently in the normal My Drive mode. As you know, there's only two drive modes, essentially GT and whatever custom stuff you do. The difference between that and the other is in GT mode, traction control looks like it turns off. So I'll keep it on, and here are all the settings that you can see. So motor, steering, suspension, ELSD, all of that on Sport Plus. ESC is just on normal. So we know that we already have it on the fastest preconditioning thing that we do. So supposedly put your foot on the brake and then you hold down the accelerator and then you should be good to go. So I'm just going to correct my steering a little bit just so we can go straight in a moment. So we've got the Racebox device here already ready to go, should be already recording, and then yeah, we just need to wait for clearance for a gap for some cars, and then we should be good to go. Let me just test this slowly though, foot on brake and step, if that does anything. So it doesn't seem to be saying or showing anything on the screen, but I do have my foot on the brake and also on the accelerator pedal. Both are flat foot down, so hope to see what we're going to get. So remember, 430 kilowatts, 740 newton meters of torque. Supposedly on paper, Kia are saying that this car will do 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds. We do have the same comparison done with our Tesla Model Y performance before. It was about 3.81, I think it was. And so that was 1 foot rollout on. We're going to do the same just to make sure we're comparing apples with apples, and we've done it on a similar road. So here we go, 3, 2, 1.
0
Okay, so that was 0 to 100 in 4.05 seconds, it shows. And again, at the moment we're just at 69% battery. So we will give it another go shortly, and we'll see what times we can get. But so far, 4.05, 1 foot rollout is on. Alright, so as a review and a recap, 0 to 60, 2.16, 0 to 100, 4.05. There was a slope slightly of minus 2.1%, but 4.05 was the time that we got with 1 foot rollout on. And yeah, let's try it with GT mode, see if that makes any difference at all. We'll probably have to line up the car to make it a bit straighter as we go, just to see if we can get the maximum speed. And forgot to say, today the performance may be slightly off because it is a 39-degree day, so it's ridiculously hot today. But this essentially was the only opportunity that we can test due to the Sydney weather being rain the entire week. But 4.05 at this point in time is the one that we've got. So we'll have to try GT mode, and might try this one again, and we'll see what we get. Alright, so we've switched to GT mode, and we probably just need to get straight a little bit, and then we should be able to give it a go. Alright, so I'll turn off the cameras there. So again, we are now, I think, in GT mode, yep. And so 68% state of charge, and left foot on the brake. We just need to wait for clearance, and then foot heavy down on the accelerator. And then once this car goes, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Oh, that felt a lot better.
60 kilometers per hour, time 188 seconds. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, time 350 seconds.
Wow, what a massive difference. What a massive difference. So, yeah, I'm lost for words. That hit way harder. So, I don't know what to say. It definitely did, yeah. Kia is a company of their words. That's all I can say. Fantastic time. 0 to 100, 3.5, really does push you back. And yeah, well done Kia. 0 to 100, 3.5 seconds. Stop here on red arrow and turn. Okay, no red arrow. Okay, and that was a slope at 1.6%. So we're actually going uphill. Obviously 1.6, not heaps, but the fact is that it's been able to achieve that 0 to 100, and that is 1 foot rollout on, which yeah, amazing time. So 0 to 100, fantastic. 3.5 seconds. That's you know, put your money where your mouth is. 3.5, we hit it in GT mode. So in terms of driving, I guess the big call out is, even though from the computer side of things and what you physically get to see, GT mode seems to have only a difference between the other modes of traction control. However, that is definitely not the case. The 0 to 100 definitely hits so much harder, and yeah, we definitely got the time. So I'm really happy. I hope you guys are too, that you guys enjoyed that video. At 1 point something percent slope, we absolutely hit that 3.5 seconds. So this car is blazingly quick. And so to compare, right, in GT mode versus no GT mode, the main difference that I felt was also the launch and takeoff. So when you put your foot on the brake and your foot on the accelerator in GT mode, he actually did launch a lot faster. When I did it in the other mode, in the normal first run, there did seem to be quite a bit of lag. So it wasn't too great in terms of feeling in that regard. So yeah, there you have it. The other call out so far based on driving is in GT mode versus normal mode. Even though it says that there is a difference in steering, it's still not a whole lot of difference between comfort versus, or the normal settings versus in Sport Plus. I still feel that they could have done a bit more in terms of that steering feedback. It definitely doesn't feel heavy at all. So this is still in GT mode, right? So, you know, the likes of one of our other current cars, Golf R. So in the sports mode, it definitely is stiffer versus your normal mode. This one still feels very, how should I say? It's still buttery. Okay, so we are in a open car park space. What I am looking to demonstrate in a moment is the auto parking feature. So we're just gonna drive around over here, and then so I have read that you need to hold down the camera button over here. So if you hold this down, currently stepping on brakes, and you can see that you've got the sensors come up there, the camera comes up there, and it says searching for parking space. Drive forward slowly and keep close to the side which you want to park. So I will drive to where I feel like I would be comfortable if I imagine cars were here. And I don't know if I need to indicate, so I might indicate left and see if it does anything. And if I come to a stop, does it do anything? Still scanning for spaces. I don't know if it realizes there are plenty of spaces here or not. So it doesn't seem to recognize that there are any spaces here at all. So I'll turn around here and we'll keep close to the side again. So I'm rolling at 3 k's an hour, pretty much on the line, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Let me come to a stop and I'll see if it's done anything. So I've come to a stop and it hasn't recognized anything. And I'm rolling forward and it still does not recognize anything at all. So why is that? How much closer do I need to be? Do I have to be in the spot? Nope. Okay, maybe we have to drive close to somebody else's car. So if the car can't recognize another car, I am not too sure what I've done wrong. So there is a car here, just one car in this car park. Let's see how we go if I slow down significantly. So it does recognize that there's a car there. Parking space detected. Stop the vehicle. Okay, so you can select park type. So I presume we don't want to go straight in, we want to go this one. And you've got remote, so start this feature while in the vehicle, or control from the outside, shift to P. I'm gonna stay in the car because this is someone else's car and I don't own this car, and that car out there is someone else's car too. So let's not go with remote parking, and let's just go with smart parking. So to start this feature while in the vehicle, press and hold the parking vehicle view button. So let's go with that. So take hands off steering wheel, press and hold parking view button. So hands are off the steering wheel, hands are off the brake as well. Press and hold the parking view button, which is down here. 3, 2, 1, hold that down. Alright, so... oh, I think I actually have to hold it down the entire time. Okay, so it looks like you have to hold down the button. I'm physically holding it the entire time. And I have also my foot on the brake ready to take over this car. Now, because there are no other vehicles in this car park, it seems like we've obviously, most likely if this was a normal car park, we would have hit someone's car already. It's very abrupt in terms of starting and stopping. It's not that gentle. So I'm just going to let go of this for a second and see how we go. Yep, so if you let go of the button, it does stop right there. Alright, so that's essentially it. Parking completed. It was an absolute fail in my eyes. Yeah, because the video itself, I'm not too sure if you caught it on video, but the car itself was totally out of line. So I'll come out and I'll show you guys how he ended up parking. So whilst this side looks like it might be okay, the car actually went pretty much almost to the end of the line. So there you have it. That is the automatic parking. It cannot recognize an empty car park, so it does need another vehicle to go. And as you saw in there, when it did park extremely close to the left side, and it did leave a fairly decent gap on the right side. So is it a pass or a fail? In my view, it's a fail, because realistically the car next to me would have most likely been hit if there was a bigger car coming, and I would have had too much space on the right. So in my eyes, that was a fail. So the great thing about EVs is you could pretty much launch like this all the way up to the speed limit, 80 k's, guilt-free, left everyone behind for dust. There's no engine revving or anything where you do attract more attention. So yeah, it's definitely a plus. Now in terms of the test, right, so we've done all the 0 to 100 tests, we've done the Speedo test to check the accuracy and everything. What I do need to disclose is how thirsty this car is. So at the moment it is pretty much 27.8 kilowatt hours per 100 k's. 27.8. That is ridiculously thirsty. Now bear in mind, obviously we've been doing quite a few 0 to 100 runs, and I've been driving it, I guess, a bit with a heavier foot to make sure, you know, we drive the car for what it is, what it was designed for, and to give you guys the feedback. So, you know, the overall feedback really is the steering, I don't think, is up to scratch in terms of the raw car feeling in a high-end performance ICE vehicle. You can't compare that. The steering is very light and very gentle and very easy to drive. There's no two ways about that. That's what it is. and it's good for an everyday driver for sure, hands down. Great. The suspension, absolute fantastic, and I think it's also because Kia obviously have their local ride and handling and tuning and all of that, and so they've totally nailed it from that aspect. Really, really good. And when you are turning in and out of corners, even if you are, I guess, throwing a bit of acceleration into it like I have just then, these bucket seats are fantastic. They hold you in your position. They are quite comfortable. They aren't comfortable from an everyday standpoint in terms of getting in and out of the car, though. I will give you that. It is a tad annoying. Suspension wise, as I said, it's fine though. It is very forgiving. If I had to compare it with some of the other vehicles out there that are performance orientated, this car is definitely still on the softer side of suspension, even though you are on sport settings. But you do have the confidence in terms of the suspension and the steering to pretty much go as hard as you need to, or in most cases even on the road safely. It will get you in trouble though, 100%. It will get you in trouble. Be ready if you do have a lead foot, be ready to hand some of those points over to the police, because it's silent and it's quick. And even if you're just launching off the lights, it is fairly quick, and you can also put your foot on the accelerator and also plant your foot down, and then let go at the lights if you really want. Yeah, it is really quick. So that's steering, suspension covered. In terms of space, so overall the wrap up on the space is that I personally feel with these bucket seats you do get more space in the second row for whoever's sitting there, whether it's kids or adults or teens. You definitely do have more space, and the main reason why is because with the bucket seats, they are designed to hold you better, but it is also designed to ensure that the person sitting here where I am, or even in the passenger seat, that you guys are sitting upright and straight. And so what that means for the second row is you guys will have a lot more space. That's that. The point that I feel slightly disappointed about is probably the lack of space compared to, I guess, the equivalent like our Tesla Model Y. I'll talk through that in more detail, but overall space, I do feel that the one thing that it lacks is a push through in the middle in order to have additional storage space. So as an example, if you're going to go to IKEA and you want to buy stuff, you do not have the ability, because it's just a 60-40 fold, you do not have the ability to push the middle seat down so you could get stuff through. And then also the frunk. The frunk is, to me, a bit disappointing, because I would have expected the ability to actually put a lot more stuff in there. But as you guys have seen in the walk around, the front is essentially quite disappointing in terms of not being able to put a lot of storage in there. So in that regard, I feel like you've lost a lot of space there. So Kia, I don't know what you guys can do about it, but it would have been great and fantastic to be able to get that component done, sorted, I guess, in comparison to even the rear-wheel drive GT-Line that we had in December. That had a lot of space compared to this. So yeah, so that, from that aspect, that space side of things is a bit disappointing. Steering wheel is good. I don't have any complaints about it. The one weird thing that I thought was, because we do have a Kia Carnival as well, why have they flipped the buttons around? So the volumes is on this side, on the right hand side of the steering wheel, and then the cruise control stuff is all on the left hand side. In the Kia Carnival, it's on the opposite sides. Why did they have to kind of make that different? You know, and I get, you know, it's apples and oranges. They're two totally different cars. I get that. I appreciate that. But if they're the same functions, it's in nothing from a performance side of things, why could they not have done that? So that's, I guess, a bit of a question I have. And then what else is there? Yeah, range and charging and all of that. So we didn't get to supercharge this car. We did get to do charging, as you saw just before, and 66 kilowatts, no issues whatsoever. I do feel that it definitely does consume a lot more than the key competitor like the Model Y Performance. So in terms of summary for everything that we've done so far, let me scroll through to the settings. So all in all, we've done about 159 Ks thereabouts. Average consumption 23.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and I spent 6 hours 42 in the car, so 23.7. So yeah, she is a thirsty one, very, very thirsty vehicle. The good side of things though is obviously electricity is cheaper than petrol, so realistically running cost for this is still going to be fairly cheap unless you do rely on DC charging, and so in that regard it might be more expensive. So at the moment, even though we've got 62% state of charge because we charged a bit up earlier on, 192 Ks left to empty. So yeah, it is definitely a lot thirstier than a lot of other vehicles, but you do have the performance there. The one thing in terms of drivability is steering engagement and feel. As I said earlier on, it is on the lighter side. So what that essentially means is you essentially can just fly through corners. You can drive with ease, and you literally can drive with one hand if that's how you choose to drive, and it will easily go through corners really, really quick. When you do accelerate hard, it does kind of feel like the back end is a bit looser, and that's potentially because obviously the bigger motors are at the rear, or potentially has more rear bias. I'm not too sure on that, so if you do know the answers to that, drop it in the comment section below. But it does feel like it's going to get a little twitchy when you've got two hands on the steering wheel and you're stepping hard on the accelerator. It isn't. So this is obviously a crossover SUV. Some people might compare it to, from a Tesla side of things, Model 3. Some might compare it to the Model Y. I've got a Tesla Model Y Performance, so I'm going to give you my personal opinion on that. And so in terms of driving and ownership, I think Tesla Model Y wins hands down in terms of the space and the usability. This car definitely can't win on space whatsoever. There is a usable frunk in the Tesla and back, and also deep storage. There definitely isn't as much in this. In terms of the back seats, you know, it's fairly similar, I'd say. Seating wise, the actual seats themselves, I say the Kia wins hands down. Heaps better, heaps more supportive, heaps more comfortable. Even if you're talking about the seats in the GT-Line ones, they are heaps better. The thing that I'm not too fond of in this car in particular is the fact that you get bucket seats in this top spec at $110,000, but you do lose out for $10,000 less, or even $15,000 less for the all drive GT line. So it's about $10,000 to $15,000 less. You lose out on the bucket seats, but you do get cooling seats. I'm a fairly big guy. I'd love cooling seats, and I guess it would have been nice that you would have some form of cooling seats still in this car. So that's the seat-wise comfort. So this car definitely wins hands down. Sound system, Tesla, this Meridian one, I feel you do get a lot of distortion as you kind of crank up the volume. So that definitely does not win there. If you are a fan of one pedal driving coming from, I guess, a Tesla family, you'll feel that that car is better. However, this car, even on level 3 or on the iPedal, I think it's decent enough. The regen obviously doesn't hit as hard as fast, but it is still more engaging in terms of driving with two pedals, using the brake and the accelerator. So from that aspect, that's more engaging. So from a suspension side, the Tesla Model Y is definitely a lot stiffer. This one is a lot more softer and a lot more forgiving. When you go through speed humps, you definitely don't feel it as much. Note, this car does have the electronically controlled suspension though, so that's probably why it wins. And you know, Kia also has their local ride handling and tuning all done here in Australia locally for us. So I guess it's a lot more forgiving in that instance, and it can absorb bumps, speed humps, and you name it, a lot better. So when you're going through a corner, if you like the stiffer feeling, the Tesla will be the one for you. If you do like that softer ride, but know that the car is capable of going through the corners comfortably and giving you that confidence there too, then the Kia is the one for you. This car's obviously totally different to the GT lines because of the seats and obviously this this matte moonscape grey paint, and then the bright green neon brakes. It also does look very different to every other car on the road. You know, I've had people actually, even just today, even though I've had all the cameras around me recording, you know, had people waving me down and even telling me to put the window down and asking me, you know, what car this is and also what I'm doing with the car. So yeah, it definitely is an attention-seeking car. I mean, Teslas, you see, you know, I genuinely see more Teslas, whether it's Model Y or even a Model 3, I see way more than them than I do see of Toyota Camrys, right? So this car is a rare car on the road. They don't sell in massive numbers. I've been told the GT line variants are obviously the more popular ones, and so this one is even rarer than that. So it definitely does get the look. So even at shopping centres, you know, or even just at the lights, you see people crossing the road. Heaps of people have been eyeing the car. And so if attention is what you want and you want something different, this is the absolute good car for you. So we've covered driving, we've covered off space, practicality, usage, charging. As I said, I didn't get to do any DC charging, but I did do DC charging in the GT line rear-wheel drive, and we did get some decent speeds there, so I'd say this one would be fairly similar. The downside of things with this car, as I said, the really disappointing side of things is the usage, or the consumption, sorry, electricity consumption. But, you know, it's similar, same thing will happen in the ICE world. Let's say that you want to buy a normal car, you know, it might use 9 or 10 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres. Then you say you want the performance variant, you know, let's go with like an AMG or an M series BMW. You're obviously going to get a better engine, better performance, therefore it's going to use more fuel. That's just the nature of it. But I feel even with this amount of power, even though it's slightly faster than the Model Y performance, this seems to be using a lot more electricity in that instant. Is it a key deciding point in this car? For me personally, no. Would I personally buy this car? I'm not too sure. I don't think I would, purely because of the price point and the benefits that I've seen for me personally with the app for Tesla. I feel like where this car would shine, honestly, is if they did bring in Kia Connect, this would be a total game changer, because a couple of things that I kind of felt I wanted, and I only know this because I have a Tesla. I would have wanted to be able to just remotely check what percentage the battery is for my car, because when parked, I'd like to know whether or not I need to charge it or not overnight, because sometimes you forget, right? So it's just convenient in that aspect. And then today, it is 43 degrees the car is showing at the moment. So if I'm out and about, I would have liked to be able to remotely start the aircon, so when I come back to my car, I'm not burning my backside. So yeah, that's essentially it. As I said, key points are driving for this one. It's a lot softer than the Model Y in general. However, it definitely does do the job. 0 to 100, hands down, this wins. 3.5 seconds, we did that. Same with the comparison, everything the same road as the Model Y performance. This definitely wins. So Kia, good on you for putting money where your mouth is. And, you know, the advertised 0 to 100, we actually achieved. So that was fantastic. Thank you for that. And then, yeah, the seats, definitely a winner in my eyes. It's just annoying that the seat doesn't go back and forth electronically. You know, even if this adjustment back and reclining back and forth was manual, and you could actually just go back and forwards for the actual physical seats, or to have like an easy entry mode, that would have been so much better. Because I can see that when you do open the door a little bit and these bucket seats don't move, it might be slightly annoying. So you might have to pull the lever to move the chair back to then get out of, I guess, the position. So yeah, and look, ultimately I know it's the same car between the rear-wheel drive GT line and this car, but I still do have the question of, why do I still need to push the EV power button to kind of start the car? And I don't know if Tesla is, I guess, the anomaly and the outside, but I found that for the Tesla, the electrics are always on, and it seems to work okay. Like I open the door, the music automatically plays, the aircon automatically starts, I can do what I want, and that's that. And when I leave, I push park and I can leave and I'm done. For this car, I push it in park, I still have to turn it off. This one, I think it had the software update, because when I had the rear-wheel drive GT-Line, I had to manually apply the parking brake or the handbrake. For this one, it seems to automatically do that. So I think it's a software update in there. But yeah, parking wise, I think this car also wins hands down. I didn't mention that before. I did cover off all the cameras and all the parking stuff in the previous video with the rear-wheel drive GT-Line, so have a look at that video if you want to see that. But with the cameras and everything in this car, I feel like this definitely wins hands down. But at the end of the day, it is a really expensive car. It's still over 6 figures like the Model Y Performance, or even when we had the Model 3 Performance. It's almost a 6-figure car back then for the Model 3 Performance. But it does lose out on a couple of areas. So would you pay $110,000? A lot of people probably won't. The good side of things is I've seen a lot of deals actually, so even probably around $100,000. Alright, so would you buy this car at $110,000 in the wrap up to this video? I don't know, let me know. I've seen a lot of promotions actually since I've had this car, because I've been looking up a lot about this car. There are quite a few dealers I've seen actually try to sell this car around the $100,000 mark. So does this appeal to you? Is this a car that you would buy? Let me know in the comment section below. At $100,000, it's just a tad into the entry of 6-figure car. You obviously do have so many other cars you can buy, whether it's EVs or ICE cars. But these beautiful bucket seats, are they a game changer for you? 3.5 seconds to 100, is that something you'd consider? I don't know. For me personally, if I had to buy an EV6, I think as much as I'd love the performance, I would have a really hard time trying to work out why I would need that little bit extra performance, but I lose out on the cooling seats. That's how much I like cooling seats, especially in this blistering hot weather that you can hopefully see right here of 43 degrees in Sydney, Australia today. So ridiculously hot. Yeah, so would you buy one? I don't know. And if you do have one, if there's anything you love about the car that I haven't covered off, or anything you really hate or really dislike, let me know as well, because it may have been something I've missed, and it'd be good for others that are watching this video to know. Other than that, thank you so much if you have watched the entire video. I really appreciate you guys. We're getting close to that 600 mark, closer to that 1000 mark. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. It will help me go a long way. As I said, if you did enjoy this video, give it a like, subscribe for more content, and hopefully we'll see you soon with more content for the Tesla Model Y, any other EVs. And as I said, if there is anything else you want, let me know in the comments, and we shall see you soon. Thanks again for tuning in, and take care.